That's actually pretty funny because pretty much all my friends call me Holmes from high school, so it's just what I'm used to, right?
Yeah, I checked it.
Right, exactly. If you'll see it pretty much probably 3 different ways to look. But so Chase Holm. I'm originally from Idaho, born in Idaho, big old town of Burley. If anybody's been there, or blinked when you pass through, right? And I'm not sure how the series has gone for the past 9 years. If you know, always selecting Salt Lake Community College alumni or not. But I was a student here at Salt Lake Community College years ago, trying to figure things out, right? Just trying to figure out where I want to be. I actually started in education. I wanted to become a professor, a college professor, a university professor. Logic told me I get all the holidays off, so that's a really good career. I like that. But as you can see, things changed. So just to talk a little bit about myself, I've been in the same company for 20 years. I started in this company about the same time I was going to college, and about the same time I got married. So I just decided to do it all at once. And again, this company, this job, customer service, I was just trying to pay the bills, pay tuition, and I would then transition into my career once I graduate. And working for this company, the company called For Life Research, it's a MLM or direct sales. Does anybody know what that industry is? MLM or direct sales? No? Have you ever heard of a company called Herbalife? Mary Kay? Amway? doTERRA? Young Living? There's actually quite a few here in Utah specifically because Utah gives tax breaks to companies in this industry. It provides a lot of jobs. Now, when you're thinking of those companies, you're thinking of a lot of people that come around and try to sell you and knock on your door, your friends and family that won't leave you alone because they're trying to make money, right? Well, there's two sides of that industry. I work for the corporate side. I'm not the one knocking on your door. I'm the one making sure they have what they need to be able to do what they do best, right? So if you look at a traditional company, let's just say Larry H. Miller Auto Sales, right? They've got the salesman, and they'll try to sell you. They get their commission. The company makes their part, whatever. This is similar, but MLM is multi-level marketing. So basically, I invite you to come sell, and you make money on anything you sell. But then you invite another, and he invites another, and he invites another, and you're making money on each of them as well. So you're selling, but you're also bringing a team of sellers and trying to make sure you're bringing on a team that will help make you money because you're all going to make money together, right? So that's essentially what multi-level marketing is. It's marketing on multiple levels and being paid on all of that. And depending on how deep it goes, you get different percentages on all the sales. So without getting too complicated, that's the gist of how that works. And it's a billion-dollar industry. I mean, it's Amway is the largest in the industry, and For Life Research is in the top 50 globally. So we've been around for 1988, so we're getting close to 30 years now. And I've been a part of the company for 20, so it's been a long time. So the question is, how did I get from where you are to where I am? How did I get into this industry? I already told you, I got into the company doing calls, right? A lot of us have jobs that we're probably not planning on sticking in forever. That's part of the reason we're here, right? Because you want to do something else. So when I got into the company, I found out that, okay, I'm in a company that is multi-level marketing. I didn't know what it was. And what is it they sell? Well, they sell vitamins and supplements. Health, right? They're trying to help people get healthy. I was one of those that didn't believe in it much. I'm not one to take a lot of supplements, vitamins. I know it's something you need, but not that convinced. I was just getting by, moving on to the next step, right? So as I'm working there, I start hearing from customers their testimonials and things. I'm like, okay, let me open up, let me figure this out. And I found out, and I'll get into the reason why I'm talking about this, is I found out in customer service, if anybody's worked in customer service, have you ever had an escalated call? Somebody's upset, right? Who has ever had a manager that just enjoys taking all of those calls and like, yep, send them all to me, I'll take them all? Not at all, right? Everybody hates that, right? And then, if you're unlucky, your manager actually avoids it, so you're stuck with the call, and they're upset, and they don't want to talk to you because they want to talk to the next level, right? So, what do? Well, I found myself in that position with my colleagues, with a supervisor, a manager that did not want to take those calls, always found excuses not to be there. So, in class one day, I was learning about the Harvard Business Review, an article in there that says, manage your boss. Right? It's usually the other way around, right? How to manage your employees. But this was reversed. How do you manage upwards? And in there, it talks about how you're supposed to learn the likes, dislikes, needs of your manager, fulfill those needs to the point where they don't ever want to let you go. It's job security, right? Because if you do the very thing they hate and they fire you, who has to do it? They do, right? They don't want to do that. They hate to do it. So they love having you around to do it. So I said, okay, they hate it. I'm gonna try something. I'm going to offer to take those calls from my colleagues. Why? Because I recognize that just having a change in tone of voice automatically helps the customer believe they're now on with somebody higher. And they automatically change, right? So I'm already a step ahead, just you take mine, I'll take yours, right? And we'll already get a calmer customer just by doing that one action. And if we can help solve the problem right at that level, and my supervisor and manager do not have to be involved, they're now happy and they love having me around because I'm taking the one thing they hate. And I actually did that for about a year, and my manager loved having me around. And honestly, it wasn't that hard. I found out by purely moving from one person to the next, that customer was super nice, very easy to work with, and I was able to explain some of the things I couldn't fix and try to see what I could get them on the other side and meet somewhere in the middle, and they were much more open to working with me. And I had no authority whatsoever. I was call center, right? So I managed my boss, and my boss kept me around, even when there were adjustments and things. They're like, no, but I gotta keep Chase. I have to keep Chase. Like, okay. Well, what happened is the company created a new department. And this department was now not only working with normal customer service, but locations, okay? Store locations throughout Latin America. And they're creating a team to manage a group of these stores. And they said, okay, we're only taking 4 right now. Chase, you have to be one of them. Okay, I didn't even have to apply. They said, you're coming. Okay, great. I go, I have an idea of what we're supposed to be doing. Not very clear, but I'll figure it out. But I had in my mind the same thing. Manage your boss. We got a new boss now. I have no clue what they want. But let's just see how it goes. So we go in, there's, hundreds of these stores in Latin America. And we got 4 people all trying to figure out, they've been there longer than me. Most of them been a couple of years. I'd only been there that 1 year, and in 1 year, you're still figuring things out, right? And so They knew exactly who they wanted to work with and who they didn't want to work with. And it was all divided up by country. And so they're like, okay, yeah, I want to work with the Dominican Republic, I want to work with, Honduras, whatever. So they all start going out, and like, you know what? I can see all of them hate or avoiding certain countries. Colombia, Panama, Venezuela. For whatever reason, right? And when I talk to them, they're like, yeah, it's not because the whole country sucks, it's because one of those stores is really hard to deal with. Their personality, right? And so there's one here, one there, and one there. I'm like, okay. And I could see my manager was like frustrated, like, okay, who am I going to have to force to take these, right? So I was like, I'll take them all three. Bring them on. Okay? Now, we're talking Latin America. I am bilingual. I learned on my mission in Florida to speak Spanish, and I decided when I came home, all my friends that went and spoke different languages, I could see they were losing their language. I decided I've got to do something to force myself to keep up with it. And that's not doing Duolingo. That's not enough. So I decided to get a job in Spanish, went to church in Spanish, and I actually found myself a Latina, and I married her. So it helped. And I kept up with my Spanish, and it got better, right? So I'm working with this team, but everybody else on the team was Latino. I was the only gringo. One, because my Spanish was good enough, and two, I took on these specific countries nobody else wanted to work with. But I had the challenge still of those three stores that are difficult, right? What do you do? Again, I need to learn, I need to observe, I don't even know them. What makes them difficult? Well, I found out what made them difficult is they knew exactly what they were doing, and the struggles and arguments they had with us is because we didn't know what they were doing. They were right, we were wrong. And we were too busy trying to tell them how to do it, to listen. So the minute I start listening to them and helping to help our corporate understand what they needed, things started flowing better, and we had no issues. We had no issues. I knew I wasn't the expert. I'm actually one of the only ones that never lived in another country. I have no clue what it's like. So my only chance was to befriend and get close to the ones that knew how it worked and try to understand it the best way I could. Once again, my boss, way more happy and comfortable and calm because she doesn't have to force anybody to do it. Our difficult customers have become less difficult, and we're growing. Okay? In this time, we're seeing basically 25 to 50% growth. So, what happens after that? Well, we're growing, we have these mini stores, but we don't have a corporate office in any of them. Why? Going back to how it works. You have the corporate side and you have the seller side, right? Our corporate offices did not have offices in any of these countries. What we did is we allowed somebody that had their organization to set up their own virtual store, and they do all the selling from that, and they handle everything. We do nothing other than support them and make sure they have inventory and things like that. So they own their stores, and they're the ones handling the customer service in those countries. At some point, it gets so big, we need to open up an office in some of these countries. I'd only been in that position for 6 months. And when they said, okay, we need to bring on more people that will work with global countries, but in a way that is setting up offices and registering products and legally, handling all of the real estate and everything like that, we need to hire more internally to handle that. And you had people that had been there 3, 4, 5 years applying for this position, and they took me instead. I'd only been there in that team 6 months and only a year and a half of the company. What did I know about opening up markets? Absolutely nothing. So it was about that time I decided I'm still going to school, in Salt Lake Community College, I'm going to switch to business. So I changed my degree. Still in the sciences, right? But I switched my degree. So one thing I was asked to do is give some advice. My first piece of advice is be flexible. Things change. I'm not the first one to tell you that people change their degrees, their careers, what they want to do. Chances are some of you may have already changed your idea of what you want to do, and there's a really good chance you will again, or if you haven't, you will, right? So first things first, be flexible. Now, I know there's a report due, so I'll pause and let anybody ask questions if they need any clarifying questions about anything I talked about so far.
Yeah, so when you were doing business with these different Latin American stores, did you have to go down there often? Did you ever live there at one point?
So at this point in time, no. It was all virtually. Again, since we didn't have an office, we didn't have anything there, I was purely virtual support at a distance, and it was not a traveling physician. Now, when I actually moved to the position to open up offices, my first day on the job, I had not even moved desks. My first day on the job was in the airport. So I was on my way flying down to Panama and Colombia to already figure things out, and I had no clue what I was doing. I hadn't even changed my degree, my career in Salt Lake Community College at that point. So it was a lot of on the go. But why? That was the question. That was, 17, 18 years ago? What made them hire me? They knew I didn't know. So why did, in this case, the executive vice president over global operations hire me when there was other people that had more knowledge, more experience, and actually more degrees than I did? The reason why they hired me is because I was able to find answers that others could not. I was able to build relationships to solve issues that others could not. That was it. So, in reality, it didn't matter the degree I had or didn't have, because the degree didn't actually get the result. What helped me get it was actually an assignment in a class that helped me think about things differently, and then I tried applying it to see how it would go. It was a trial and error, that's all it was. And since it worked, I kept trying to apply it, right? Manage your boss, manage your boss, manage your boss, right? So the truth is, this isn't a concept that only applies to multi-level marketing or business. Manage your boss is everywhere. If you Google it, whatever, AI, it'll tell you one of the number one reasons of losing your job is issues with your boss, right? People quit because they just couldn't resolve the issues with their superiors, or the boss lets you go because same thing, issues, right? Now, if you get a boss on your side and the company is even downgrading, that boss will fight for you, right? More than you could ever fight for yourself. So, managing things with your boss gives you a much higher chance of making things work, and you'll like what you do more, right? Because even if you don't lose your job, but you hate the relationship with your boss, you go home stressed and hating life, right? Because it sucks. Have to deal with that all the time, right? Actually, you probably have friends or uncles or cousins or whatever that come home and complain about things like that, right? So if you can manage this one piece, I don't care what degree you get, I don't care what industry you go into, things will get better by learning to manage your boss, right? And your stress levels will go down because you don't have the daily stress, but 2, job security, right? Your boss will fight for the ones they want. You don't have to do the fighting yourself, right? So, for 20 years, I've been at the same company. I haven't moved by applying that principle. So, any other questions? Okay. So,
Well, I have a question actually with that concept. So you talked about at the very beginning your customer service job, and that you were doing the thing that your boss didn't want to do. So did you ever hit a ceiling where your boss said, I don't want to lose this guy, because then I'm going to have to do the things that I don't want to do. So I'm going to prevent him from getting promoted so that I'm not exposed.
right. And that's a good question. So, yes, at every point, I had somebody that said, hey, he's too good, I don't want to lose him, right? I don't know if it's luck, I don't know, grand design, whatever, but I've always had somebody else higher up that says, thanks, but we need him anyways, right? Because it eventually shows, right? When you manage your boss, when you're outshining others, then people take notice, right? I don't know if any of you listen to self-help books or whatever. You've ever heard the name Zig Ziglar? Zig Ziglar is a motivational speaker. He's written books, podcasts, all this stuff. And he tells a story of how he was working in a grocery store. And it was during the Great Depression and everything like that. And it was during a time where this grocery store and this grocery store, even though they're competitors, they would help each other. And if we're out of tomatoes here, I can go borrow from here, and they can borrow olives from me and whatever, and they help each other out, right? So he's working in one grocery store, and a kid runs in, up to the table, asks for 5 cans of tomatoes, writes down a little receipt of I owe you or whatever, and runs out again, right? And that happens multiple times. And Zig, working in this grocery store, asks his boss, why is he always running? Like he's nonstop running. And his boss says, well, he's running for a raise. He's running for promotion. And he's going to get it. He's like, how do you know? Like, you're not even his boss. Like, how do you know he's going to get it? He's like, I know he's going to get it. Because if his boss doesn't give it to him, I will. Because I see what he's doing, even if others don't. So, when you're outshining, doing your best, somebody takes notice. Even if they don't want to lose you, there's others, well, one, hopefully they're honest and like, where you exceed and where you progress, it looks good on me too as a boss because I helped get you there, right? That's the hope, right? But even if they don't, usually there's somebody else that sees it as well and says, we're taking you anyways. And in those first few teams, that's exactly what happened. I didn't even apply, they took me, right? When I was dealing with these stores. It was those complicated store owners, that would go to the executives and say, we love him, he's awesome. And they're the ones that already had me in mind before they even opened the position. So they did all these interviews, but they already knew who they wanted. Didn't matter who had been there longer, didn't matter somebody didn't want to lose me, didn't matter, right? So they took me anyways. So, now, here's where the advice of being flexible comes. I'm now traveling around Latin America, helping open stores, open them in Peru, Chile, Costa Rica, Ecuador, Colombia, Bolivia, and yeah, those are the main ones, right? So I opened up 6 countries during my time there. And I'm looking to kind of calm down. I was taking only a couple classes at a time, still trying to finish my degree, and I said, I want to chill on the travel. And I want to focus on finishing my degree. And I said, okay, I'm going to move over into the legal department. And I'm just going to, I have a bunch of knowledge. I can use it to help apply the rules and regulations and help take care of business there. And the VP of legal is like, yep, I'll take you in a heartbeat. Let's go, open up a position, we're going through it, and I get called into my boss's office. My boss says, we really, really consider going back to customer service, but managing it. But managing specifically our VIP department, our top sellers. These guys are making $100,000, $200,000 a month in commissions, okay? So I need you to manage them. And I'm like, but why? Well, we just lost our manager, and people have told us, you understand that whole commissions payout thing, right? And in the company, there was literally one person that really knew how it worked. Most people didn't understand it. It was too complicated. It's 2% here and 3% there and 5% in this, but this overlaps that, and then if you combine this, it gives you a bonus. It was just all over the place. One person really understood it, and others kind of had 80% of it, and then you had, 90%, 95% company that really understood what's on paper, 5%, but had no clue how to apply it, okay? And I would have considered myself in part of that 95% that knew it on paper and could apply tiny bits, but I really have no clue what I'm doing here. But somehow, rumor got out that I understood it. And rumor got out I was looking to change positions to allow myself to finish my degree. So people put one and one together, said, Chase is our guy. And my boss came to me and said, Kane, we want you to go here. And I said, let me think on it. Came back, no thank you. I still think I'd rather go over here. I didn't want to go back to customer service. I felt like that was a step backwards. I already got out of there. I'm moving forward, not backwards, right? That was my concept. And so, thanks but no thanks. This time I wasn't looking for where my boss needed me. I was just, what do I need, right? His boss invited me in, said the same thing. We would really like you to consider going here back to customer service. Let me think on it. Now it's my boss's boss. I better really take this into careful consideration. Came back, no, I don't think that's for me, thank you. The president and CEO of the company pulls me into his office and tries to understand. He's like, why? Why don't you want? And I was like, look, one, I feel it's a step backwards. Two, I know the person I would be reporting to, and we don't work the same. They were all about forcing people to do things. I'm more of rally the team, right? So I don't think our styles fit. And three, I've already got things lined up, right? He's like, oh, okay, so you've got the VP of legal department ready to hire you and everything? Yep, everything's ready to go. He's like, okay, picks up the phone, calls the VP of legal, we're not hiring a legal. End of story. So, gone, right? My path is erased. And he says, we'd really like you to consider. And that's where I realized, okay, the first piece of advice I gave is, be flexible. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna read the room. I'm gonna go where the company needs me. They've treated me well so far. They have no clue what I'm capable of, but they seem to have this high expectation. So I'm going to go ahead and counteroffer. Okay, but I don't want to report to her. Here's the title I want, and here's the salary I want. He said, done, and give me a minute. Why? Because I've already built up all of that up to that point. And there was this rumor out there that made me look even better than I was. Okay? Why? Because I helped people figure some things out that they couldn't figure out, so it made it seem like I know it all. I didn't. So, it was, okay, I can give you the title, I can give you the salary, I still need you to report to her until the end of the year, where then we can kind of make it fit so it doesn't look bad on her, and you can do what you need to do, and you can report to the person above her. Okay, done. I make the move, And now I'm in a position, I have no clue what I'm doing. Absolutely no clue. And the people that I'm managing know it, and they know more than I do. Now, well, one of them is very upset because they felt like that position was theirs. They were next in line, and they were not ready to work with me. So, same thing. Manage my boss, but also manage the team. I sat down with her and like, what's the issue? The same issue brought up. I've been here for years, and everybody keeps holding me here, right? Because I'm too good to lose. And that's exactly what they told her. Like, you are handling our two top customers. They are bringing in 11 to 15 million dollars worth of sales every month. We cannot lose you by allowing you to move on. That was her issue, and I was just the latest installment of that series, right? So, completely understood. You hate me. Got it. We're good. And to make it worse, I have no clue what I'm doing, and you do. So, okay, let's make a deal then. You help me figure out what I'm doing, and I will help you get out, because I have relationships now with other departments, and I will help you get out. But the only way you're ever getting out of here is if the company knows there's somebody else that can fulfill your role. So the minute I give them that comfort, you are now released, right? So as long as we can make that deal, this can work. And she did. I sat with her, learned what she knows. I sat with the expert, learned what they know, and then I went to IT, systems. How's it coded? I don't care what everybody believes how it works. I want to know what the code does. To the point where I became the expert and everybody came to me, even more than the ones that taught me. Because each one of them learned through experience, but I added their experience to the IT coding and now understood it at a level that nobody else did. And I fulfilled my promise. I went to marketing, told them all about her. She got a position in marketing and moved on. And we hired somebody else to fulfill her spot, and I trained them to handle our top 2 clients. Done. Win-win. Right? So, again, when I'm there, I learned what I had to learn from the people I had to learn it, gave credit where credit's due, fulfilled my promises. And then the company did the same. They gave me a new position, they gave me the salary and the title, and they went beyond that and actually made me the director of call center operations. So not only this team, but anything operational for the entire call center. And that's because the president and CEO was happy with the fact that I took the news well. I could have been pretty upset on how he handled it, right? He erased the entire path in quite a, you could say dictatorial way, right? I mean, it's just my way or the highway, right? I could have taken that very poorly, decided to be flexible and run with it. And so he made me director of the call center operations, more than I asked. I just asked to be, is a supervisor position, I want to be manager, he gave me that. And then gave me more. And then from there, my old boss, that used to be my boss while opening up offices, took me back to international and helped develop more offices, more countries, but this time global. Made me the director of global operations and then vice president of global operations. So now I'm working with all of Asia, Europe, Latin America. 1 year, I visited 19 countries that year. So I do not speak Korean, I do not speak Chinese, Japanese. There's a lot I don't speak, but hasn't made a difference. So that is my journey on how I got from where you're sitting to where I am today. It is based on that. Be flexible, manage your boss, and when needed, your team. And keep your promises. Right? You may have, if you're doing what you should, and you're managing your boss and becoming indispensable, they're going to want you to do things beyond what you thought you might be doing. And that also creates that job security. They can't live without you. That's a good thing, right? That's a good thing. And maybe put you in positions where you get to call the shots and ask for what you want and get it, right? But then you got to back it up. Put in the time, put in the effort, learn it, right? And today, the president of the company doesn't make any changes to any of that commissions without bringing me into a meeting and asking my opinion. He can do whatever he wants. He doesn't need me there. But he wants me there because he feels more comfortable about the decisions being made after I've had my chance to say how it will affect others. Right? So, I don't know how we're doing on time, but I think we're getting close. I did want to leave some time for questions and answers again, but any questions up to that point?
When you go to open a new location, what are you like doing? Are you just training new sellers? Are you like picking the are you setting up leases for office space? Are you just everything?
Yeah.
Wow.
So first things first, get our product registered for sale legally in the country, right? So you're working through the all of these countries have very different laws and regulations than we do here in the U.S. And it can be as easy as Argentina, for example. If it's legally sold in the United States, you automatically bypass a lot of their regulations. That's nice because they say U.S. has a lot of great rules we agree with. We trust their products more than other countries. So let's skip half of the regulations. Great, that's nice, that's easy. Now just give us this minimal part here. Others, I don't care who you are, where you come from, we have some weird rules and we're going to stick to them. Okay, figuring that out. So registering product, hiring staff, getting a location, right? Trying to find a location that is accessible through, in a lot of these countries, by bus and train. A lot of people just don't have vehicles, so you don't need a ton of parking or anything. You need public transit. And if we're not paying attention to the culture, then we'll end up getting an office in a location that nobody can get to, or it's very difficult, and it's going to hurt sales, right? And so you're leasing your legal representation, so I need lawyers in country that will help govern our rules, regulations, our leases, everything like that. And then shipping and warehousing and everything like that, right? Because all the product, For Life Research has 3 buildings here in Utah. You got the building that is shipping and you've got the building that's manufacturing down in the vineyard. The For Life building I work in is global and marketing, and that's in Sandy. So actually, if you're on I-15 heading south, if you notice the Health Center Theater or the Mountain America building there on the left, you'll end up seeing For Life on the right-hand side, right? There's 2 buildings there, right? So you'll see us off the building, off to the freeway there. And so you're looking for that, setting up offices like that. And everything we manufacture here in Utah ends up getting shipped to all of these countries. So they don't have to manufacture, they don't have to do anything other than import it, get it into the warehouse, and then work out orders and ship it, right? So yeah, a lot of logistical needs, setting up their inventory managers and things like that. And some of these countries are very complicated. But my thing has been surround myself with people that know and trust them, right? So, and then you had a question as well, right?
Yeah. I guess because you said you did sales, what is one piece of advice that you'd give us in selling any product or certain products?
Okay, yeah.
It's like a piece of advice. I don't know if you've read it from a book or that you've implemented.
So I'll give you 2 pieces. One, my favorite book is How to Win Friends and Influence People. I don't know if anybody's read it. It sounds sketch, right? It's just how do you influence people to get what you want. It's not like that. I'll give you a quick snippet. It's basically how can you understand the other person and their wants enough that they'll care about what you want, right? Give them what they want, and they will usually try to reciprocate that and try to give it back to you, right? So love that book. But when it comes to selling, my thing was love what you're selling. If you don't love what you're selling, you're gonna struggle because you have to convince yourself about something that you can't even. If you can't convince yourself, how can you convince another?
Yeah.
Right? So when I was doing door-to-door sales, Dish Network, I didn't even have cable. I don't care. And so how do I sell you on 120 channels if I don't even have one?
Mhm.
Right? Oh, we got the 60 channel package, we got the 80 channel, but you got the 120. Like, I really don't care. And even not caring, I was top 3 in Oregon. So, but I hated it. I hated it. So I got out of it and I went into this industry and ended up learning about the products, saw what they did in people, and then saw what they did in my own life and said, okay, here we have something real. And that's where I stuck with it. So love what you're selling. If you don't, you're better off finding another company that you do care about and promoting that instead. Because chances are, even if they pay slightly less, your overall attitude towards it will end up getting you more sales total, right? So, and then yeah, I Win Friends and Influence People. Read that one. I've read it like 4 times.
Yes.
So it's a really good one. So, any other questions? Okay. Well, I do appreciate your time. I hope it applies. My whole goal is to give you some advice that applies to any industry, any job, anything you're doing, right? And hopefully, if I can give one last piece of advice, don't worry about trying to implement everything you learn. There's a time and place for everything, and all I did is try to, one thing, imagine my boss, fine, I'm going to do that first. And as I learn new things, I'll try implementing new things, and some work, some don't. But obviously in school, you're going to learn a million things, and you're not going to be able to implement them all. So pick what you feel applies the best for you right now in this moment, and then change it up as you go. Thank you again.